Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Christopher Mucker Disbones, the evening edition of Fire of Liberty. Very brand new edition. I usually do the same intro, but this is a brand new intro, and which is actually has been encouraged to do, of course, continuously throughout the day, which at the same time I do want to do because it's, I trust me, I'm aware that there's, without a doubt, the importance of the need and the need or the necessity of the importance of the revelation of the understanding of morning edition, like morning broadcast, like morning, like revelation of that, for example, liberty statement must be made. And the cool thing is that now I can do it because, of my, Heavenessencent schedule, which is amazing and Heavenescent. But the important thing is that the clarity which is provided not only with the understanding of the limitless bounds which we go into detail about, and what I mean by that is the following. So, there's a lot of, for one, just want to just put this out there. I haven't done a broadcast in a while. Of course, that's known. At the same time, that allows us a great development of character, a great development of our own unity within one another as a species, and our development with one another, of course, as universal consciousness, which is, it's a understanding of universal consciousness as, for example, one consciousness. And that gets us to the point which we are, constantly always at, which is, to be able to understand, be in awareness of. I say the word, all the time, and I'm working on that. So at the same time, let's go straight into this factoid understanding. Not factorial, but factoid understanding of what the comprehension of ascendance means in regular speech. And what I mean by regular speech, I mean by, vernacular to the area which is concerned for vernacular. And of course, which is what is always going on, which is going on currently, which is always going on, for example, not only in the now moment, but in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and etc., and beyond, dimensional consciousness. And of course, that level of consciousness is very important to allow the universal understanding of who we can become, meaning, of course, the already limitless ascension which has already been procured. At the same time, what is very special and very romantic at the same time is the unique sort of like that there's no word for it. There is a word for it, and the word I use is unconditional love, because it's the state of understanding of the sort of bond that goes beyond. And it's amazing how I am the one who knows this much more than anything. What do I mean by anything? Trees. Okay, trees are like the embodiment of love. I'm not gonna, rag on the trees, alright? I'm not gonna, demote the trees or anything like that, but I'm telling you, these guardian sentials, they're rigid. They're strong, and they're sturdy in their sentience. The amount of learning lessons that can be procured from a tree, from a real tree. And it sounds like I'm just saying this, just say this, and then this is what I support, and this is what I believe in, and this is why I think we can perhaps use this to make a new foundation to take the next step. It's much more than that. This tree was a seed. How much more can I express that? And the seed that's in the, and what I mean this in a positive way, of course. The seed, okay, let's put it this way. when aura resonates from the pine tree, for example. Let's go with the pine tree. It is auric essence. Auric essence is okay. Let's just skip this step. Heavenescent essence of the essence of communication is not, because here's the thing that's so potent, which is very, and this is why the benevolent factor is so important, because it's just a, for example, an understanding of clarity within the presence. By the way, it's the 16th of October 2017. It is a date where most things seem to collide in a sort of kaleidoscope thing, and then bam, it because that's what the moon does, because for some reason we're focused on them anyway. So this is a sort of kaleidoscope. I'm expressing many things at the same time, but this is a kaleidoscope expansion of, okay, I get it. This kaleidoscope expansion, okay. There's a lot of points that I'm really getting to, because right now there's a canine, and canines have a lot of clarity, and this canine's asking me to, I can hear his pounding thoughts without even the barking anymore, because it's pounding on my ear anyway. What I mean is it's the left side of the brain. Isn't that awesome? That's anyway. So I need to get back on track. What I'm really saying is, because that digression I think is important, but at the same time, staying on the point of Heavenescence is important. What I'm saying is that the language per se of the type of coherence that's inherent in, for example, just that Heavenescent reality of relationship between super overflowing waterfall trees of chi trees, the chi that flows from trees. Chanti. Whoa. I might have to go back. Weird, Heavenescent, right? Anyway. I'm going to try that, because I think I should really try that. Just to really, really try that, because that's important. Anyway. The type of balance, of course, is, that understanding of, it's a universal language. I sometimes call it like a light language. So that is the sort of Heavenescent clarity that needs to be provided, that is provided and will always be provided, because that's like a constant river. The amazing sort of necessity that exists within the balanced nature of one, a sort of, as in like one bullet point, or bullet point number one, as in the type of clarity that's inherent in the, let's go very, very simple, that's inherent in the muscle structure, the muscle structure of how cells operate. It is a sort of crystal heavenescence and the ability to co-create an expansive crystalline form of what can be developed in the future, of what we can perceive, what we can currently perceive, not only as fully conscious human beings when the consciousness, for example, goes down to the DNA level, and also as the co-creative expansion, which is co-creative expansiveness, meaning, our, because we can quickly, and that's how quick it is, that's how fast it is, because consciousness and then consciousness, it's amazing how we recognize it as a polarity, but it's that recognition which is very spectacular, which I would love to state, because it's constant, and that's what I call, and it gives me that oversight, for example, that oversoul of six-dimensional consciousness, for example, that oversight of, you know, duality. Duality is, and here's one beautiful way that I love to describe it. Duality is that ascension teaching lesson. And this is constant, and this is so weird. I say weird because there's no, because I'm going to go into that a little bit, but and I'll just put it in the category of education, which is not necessarily true, and I'm going to explain why, and then I'm going to explain, the afterthought. The thought of, that holding on to that sort of, for example, persuade, polarity, duality. Okay, persuade, polarity, duality. A very weird way to morph English words into another phrase or another term and therefore another definition completely. Think about how duality, polarity, and consciousness have a mirror effect, because the wisdom of consciousness in itself has wisdom of consciousness. And that's just that's like the most basic law, that's the foundation. Meaning, it works both ways because it's a constant. What do I mean by it works both ways? Both ways. Once again, playing of words, but it's really true. Because it's weird, but it has to be. It doesn't have to be, but for the most part, for some reason, not saying like this is the only reason why this can be proved, but the birth reason is why the reason for understanding of consciousness exists in terms of reciprocals and etc. When at the point it's not necessary, because if you just read Bhagavad Gita, it explains it completely. But I'm so tired of quoting the Bhagavad Gita. I've done that so many times. I've done at least 3. By this time I mean 4. And there's definitely times I've done 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I've done more than that. That should be just ingrained, especially by the adolescent age is 25 technically, but even today, it could be started now, and then you still be golden at the same time. I'm not looking anyway. I had a miraculous have and had and then will have, all 3 time presences, whatever you consider time as, has a sort of, and I'm going to mention that, and I have mentioned that, and etc., etc., etc. Now, the blissful part of the sort of cognizance and the understanding of the revelation of what has already been discovered, and the heavenescent aspect of what is the coherence of coalescing the sort of energy and just all of the energy, and this is a lot of energy, but coalescing all of the energy into the understanding of the weird word, but a prognosis of what is to be stated is the replication of what consciousness can, shall, and will be in the present and in the past. And it's weird because we say that we can continuously ascend as ascended masters, when the fact is that we are ascended masters consistently ascending the ascended masters. One thing which is amazing is I read Ascended Masters back before I was an ascended master. But becoming an ascended master means that you are an ascended master, which also means that you're teaching ascended masters. So once again, that's a huge polarity skill gap which occurs and which is very positive. Once again, that's skipping the polarity. I just skip time. I'm skipping time, so I do time jumps all the time because that's important, especially with the anchoring of light within the younger generations and within myself, within my heart and my soul and spirit, etc. Now, the type of polarities. All right, so let's go to the polarities of, you know, high consciousness. That those teachings are. This is what's really exciting, because this is what, for example, the younger generations. I'm just going to shout out a number. 20 to 25. Okay, 20 to 27. 20 to 29. Okay, 18 to 20. Okay, 16 to 26. These age groups are allowed, of course they're allowed, and are able to be the leading consciousness of all consciousness that ever was. How in the universe is someone who's 27 and older, for example, and 15 years old and younger, how are they ever going to accept that type of proclamation when that proclamation in itself is segregation? You know, it's segregating. It could be considered age restriction. You know, only those age groups can be allowed in ascending human consciousness. That consciousness was already ascended. That understanding of that, for example, that personification or that understanding or that law of consciousness, I'm really, really breaking it down as teeny tiny building blocks as can be. Really bringing it down to its finest component. Which is awesome, because I just had a really good idea. At the same time, too, it's also because the miraculous reality of heavenescent clarity. Whoa, it's like 12,000 good ideas all at once. Anyway, that clarity is what allows civilizations to develop. So, meaning, which is kind of nonchalant. Oh, which reminds me, like 12 other things anyway. Which reminds me. Oh, it also reminds me. So there's a necessary importance and advocation for, and I'm just putting things out, because this I don't want to get into the way of self-discovery, because self-discovery is like the most beautiful, revolutionary roller coaster of anything that there ever was. Like, if you were literally living in Jurassic Park, what would you do living in Jurassic Park, living in the Jurassic era? This is your story. And that's why I strongly support free will. Because why? Because think about it. Be free. Be yourself. Be understanding that this planet, for example, is a free will planet, and that, you know, we're able to do free will in accordance with the laws of consciousness. And of course, that's obviously obvious. So, what do I mean by loss of consciousness is absolutely obvious? Because when, for example, you quickly turn into your higher states of nature, the laws of consciousness shift in that order. So, meaning, for example, one thing, you can, which is the amazing presence of timelessness, which, for example, which is an interesting thing, because you can, for example, stop time. You say, what was the goal of, it's so weird, but what it really is, it's the study of time, which doesn't exist. It's the study of that which doesn't exist, because it's just a practice, because that's why, because Earth is one of the only planets that this can happen on, you know? And it's not, you know, Earth is, you know, there's billions of planets where you can do this. And that's why, once again, I encourage you bring your skills from other planets onto this planet and then you develop those skills. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here very quickly, very shortly and soon. But especially as your host, Christopher Michael Curtis Bowen, guardian of light, guardian angel, guardian being of this planet, guardian of the solar system, as well as this galaxy, and guardian of the universe, being of light, being of love, being of prosperity and heavenescence, abundance, and unlimited creation, null potential, and unlimited potential. And also just here being of friendly guidance in this heavenescent reality that we exist in, not only of 5-dimensional reality and above, but of course above 5-dimensional reality, and then of course ascending beyond that. The sort of heavenescent attitude, per se, that's a good word, attitude, heavenescent positive attitude with creational aspects that have to do with the revelation of who we can become, who we want to be, and what we can, sort of situate within our lifestyle. And the amazing thing is that we can continually heavenescently grow. And what do I mean by that? When it comes to, let's just be really blunt, when it comes to growing wings, what does it take to grow wings? Wing makers. Who are the wing makers? I love you all. This is your host, Christopher Michael Curtis Bowen, on the Human edition of Fire for Liberty. Love you all with peace, joy, hope, bliss, and continuance of creation and love, heaviness and beauty, and bountiful love. Love you all.